Welcome to this reflection about the Gospel of the fourth Sunday after Easter. This Gospel speaks of Jesus as the Good Shepherd. So, this Sunday is associated, at least in the Catholic Church, with special prayers for priestly vocations, which reminds me of a cute little story of the priest who was out on the altar, all set to bless branches on Palm Sunday, with a little altar boy next to him. And he realizes that he had left the prayer book inside the sacristy and hurriedly went back in to fetch it, leaving the congregation standing in the church and the little boy just facing this congregation alone with the blessed water and asperges in his hands. Not understanding exactly what was happening, he spontaneously started walking up the aisle of the church, blessing the people himself. And of course, everyone very smilingly and willingly bowed their head to receive the child's blessing. When the priest returned on the altar, the job was already done. He simply said, "No need for a second blessing, you are already blessed." Actually, there is only one vocation for us all, and this is to give and to be the blessing for those around us. Isn't this essentially the call of any priest, of any Christian, of any human being? Unfortunately, we think that it's just the priests who have this power to bless. That word power. Actually, it's not a power, it is a call. And it is a call that people of all kinds and situations, all faiths and none, have to give and to be God's blessing to those around them. God's blessing is nothing less than His infinite love for each and every. What is so amazing in our God, simply because He is love itself, is the fact that He has the courage or the faith to entrust His blessing, that is, His peace, His joy and life, to each and every one of His children. We are His altar boys and altar girls, carrying not just, a ceremonial blessed water, but the holy water of His love in our frail little hands to touch the lives of those around us. Whoever we are, whatever our professions and walks of life, we are called to be channels of God's love. Jesus says, "I am the door. Whoever enters through me will be saved. He will come in and go out, will find pasture." And whatever Jesus says about Himself applies to each one of us, His brothers and sisters, even in our frailty, yes, in our poverty and weakness. We too are the doors of God's loving and tender mercy. God's love cannot reach anyone if not through someone. And no one can reach God except through someone. This is why in Jesus, God chose to become one of us. He wanted to become another someone. The Good Shepherd is indeed the one who carries all the care and tender love to his sheep and leads them into life-giving pastures. That's why He calls Himself the door, which is always open, so that all who pass through it may have access to both safety and freedom, both protection and openness, both acceptance and adventure, both belonging and welcoming, both trust and forgiveness. Jesus is not the controlled or controlling access to some gated community. Anyone, anytime can pass through, unquestioned, unscrutinized. No passwords, no security checks, no ID cards, passports, or accreditations are needed. Love has no need of all these entrapments. The Good Shepherd grants access to all those who choose to pass through him. He is indeed a free for all, with only one exception: those who refuse to be free. The thieves and robbers are only interested in pillaging and working havoc amongst the flock, seeking only what they can grab and devour for their own satisfaction. They're not interested in passing through the main door. The contrast is not only striking but tragic. This applies to all kinds of gated and self protected communities, including the Church, whom Pope Francis has been striving in the face of vicious opposition to open up for all those who seek and need mercy. The Church's doors may be closed just to keep the correct and righteous ones inside, to falsely feel safe and protected. They may also be left open to welcome the broken ones outside who are seeking shelter in God's loving mercy. A true shepherd is the open door through which all sheep, healthy or wounded, may come in and out and find pasture. I came that they might have life and have it more abundantly, said Jesus of his own mission. A thief refuses to enter through the door of love. He enters only by breaking in, destroying everything and everyone in his path. His only aim: grab and devour his brothers and sisters. It is a dramatic image of false shepherds, be they priests, politicians, entertainers, professionals, technocrats, or simply you and me. A false shepherd is someone who craftily transforms any service to others into a privilege, a self-serving power over his weaker brothers and sisters. How, unfortunately, this is true of us human beings. We are capable of transforming the noblest vocations, the most sublime missions, into the basest power-grabbing and corrupt oppressive regimes. Just look at the world we live in. In politics, how many have started as liberators of their people from corrupt tyranny and oppression, but in the long run or in the short run, ended up being themselves corrupt tyrants and oppressors? How many religious groups or churches started thanks to great spiritual leaders and benefactors of the poor, who ended up as fundamentalist persecutors of those with other faiths, other beliefs, or just enriched themselves off the back of their vulnerable followers? No church, no state, no society, no family, no one is immune to this temptation. We start with a genuine desire to be good shepherds and end up being the bad, ravaging shepherds. From channels of love, peace, and security, we become channels of discrimination, of pain, of suffering. The door no longer remains an opening to life giving freedom, but a locked and bolted prison of servitude and oppression. Yes, there is only one shepherd who is good and can be trusted with God's own flock of sheep, Jesus, who, though Master and Lord, washed the feet of his disciples, became the slave of those whom he loved, and took upon himself their pains, their sufferings. Only he could break open the doors of slavery, sin, and death to lead us to a life that is real and lasting in everlasting pastures where we can find life in abundance. Let us rejoice in the call we have received, each one of us in his or her own way, in his or her own vocation, and accept to become ourselves together with our humble Master, the little tiny doors through which our brothers and sisters can touch and be touched by God's infinite and liberating love and life. Jesus could describe himself as the door of the sheep pen and the good shepherd only because he himself became the sheep taken for slaughter. Whatever our vocation in life, we can only be good shepherds and channels of God's love if we lovingly make our own the pain and the needs of others. God bless you.